Greetings from the Indiana State Police Headquarters. I'm Charles Sorrells with the Human Resources Division. And unfortunately, as most of you are aware, the Pioneers of the Indiana State Police Annual Conference and Business Meeting has been canceled due to the mitigation efforts to reduce COVID-19 in our state. On an annual basis, myself and Superintendent Carter both come to the meeting, fellowship with you throughout the day, and offer information to you about, in my case, pension, health insurance, and life insurance is what I'm going to speak on today. The superintendent will follow me with some comments regarding the status of the department, what the department's been doing during COVID-19, and other issues, just the overall update of the agency. So diving straight into my portion, I'm going to talk first about our pension. And I will tell you without hesitation, our pension is in very, very good shape. Today is Thursday, July 16th, and a week ago today, I made contact with our fiduciaries to get an up-to-date, real-time status of our pension balance. We did this because the market has been recovering successfully since March when there was a crash. So prior to March, when our pension was thriving with the rest of the economy, we were just at $500 million as a balance. When the shutdowns occurred and the market took a dive in March through April and into May, the pension dropped about $40 million. It would have been much worse if our policy investment strategy wasn't as it is. We have the alternatives, we have different protective mechanisms in our book of business to help us reduce any kind of losses. On the flip side of that, when the market started recovering, we have tools in place that are going to let us recover more aggressively as well. As of last Thursday, the pension balance was $495.9 million, nearly $496 million. And the market has gained since then, so I'm assured that the market is still gaining as we speak today, and our pension balance is going forward. Again, our pension, your pension, is in very, very good shape. Please do not hesitate to call with questions about that if you have them, but rest assured that your pension is wisely invested, very strategically invested. There's a tremendous amount of people on a fiduciary level looking out for your pension, and it is solid. Moving to health insurance, I got two groups of people that we have with our retirees. You have your pre-65 retirees in our health insurance plan and those that are never Medicare eligible. The other group is our Medicare eligible people that are over age 65, which are enrolled now for the last year and a half into a Medicare Advantage group plan. Both of those plans are doing very, very well. As of this morning, our reserve in the insurance is $18.4 million. Very, very strong, okay? We have just went through our annual review with the superintendent for what we plan to do in 2021, and I'm happy to report that for the Medicare Advantage plan, group plan, there is a reduction, a slight reduction. However, it's not going up is the good news. In your prescription responsibility, it's the only thing that you pay for. The department is still going to pay for your medical portion of that. We were able to negotiate that down into a savings of almost $400,000 on an annual basis. The prescription savings that we were able to negotiate is only a few dollars, less than $5 per person, but it's still a savings. And in a market where prices are ever increasing, mostly in double-digit percentages, it's really a good place to be when you can actually save money or at least hold even. For the folks in the traditional plan, those are our over 65 retirees that are never Medicare eligible and our pre-65 retirees. We have a number of new programs coming forward that will offer you a premium rebate and some different savings if you participate in certain plans. What I need to ask you on that is to watch your mail both your physical mail and your email, there will be a tremendous amount of information coming forward. And when you get that, you need to look over that very thoroughly so we can engage conversation to see if you want to make changes to your plan and how you can take advantage of the programs that are going to be put in place to offer you a premium rebate. Again, some slight savings, not huge, but every little bit counts. On the other side of that too, we were able to hold premiums. We're not making any increases to premiums, deductibles, copays, anything like that. Everything is staying flat for this year. And there's many reasons for that. Suffice it to say that the superintendent saw the need to hold those flat. We were able to meet with the state budget agency and in partnership with them and keep everybody's rates flat going into 2021. So good news there as well. Moving on to retiree life insurance. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, Marty Hutchinson drafted a letter and mailed a letter to every retiree that has a life insurance benefit. Every one of you get this. It's a $20,000 benefit. We're finding out that many of you didn't know this existed, which is good news for us because now you're educated and you know that at that time, when it unfortunately comes, you have a $20,000 benefit. What we're also finding out is that she has taken over 100 phone calls from people trying to make sure that they have the right coverage or everything's in place, if you will. Here's the important part. I talked to Marty this morning and she advised that over 75 people have called because their beneficiary was not correct. This is very important because the card that we have on file basically is our contract, and the card that you signed at your time of separation or sometime afterward, the person listed on that card is who we have to, not who we want, it's who we have to give your benefit to. So that $20,000 is very, very important. If you have any inkling that your beneficiary is not correct, please call Marty Hutchinson in the Human Resources Division. Refer to the letter that you had. If you couldn't find that letter, we'll put the phone number at the end and we'll have Marty's name and how you can contact her. Call her direct and make sure that your life insurance benefit is up to date. This is very, very important because you don't want that benefit going to somebody that you don't want it to go to, or if that person's happened to have passed away, your benefit then could be tied up into probate, and it's unnecessary work for your loved ones afterward when they're managing your affairs. Those are the three main topics that I have. I was asked to cover those by your president, Jim White. Anything that I've presented here today, if you have any questions, my phone number will be at the end here. And I encourage you to call me or email me, either one, with your questions, and I'll be happy to answer those because that's one of the things that we really, really miss. This is unfortunate. I'm glad we'll be able to do this, but it's very unfortunate because I look forward to every September when we get to come out and converse with you and have a conversation during this presentation. You all have so many good questions. So if you have questions after you watch this video, please feel free to call. And I'm going to step aside and Superintendent Carter will come forward. Thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm going to miss September. I always look forward, my wife Carol and I look forward to spending that time with you. And as if we were there at the hotel, today I have to be drinking a cup of coffee, and I'll do that in front of you today. So I've got just a couple of notes, but as usual, I just kind of wing it. But who would have thought a year ago what we'd be dealing with today? And I just want to hit a couple of the highlights for you. A shout out to Jim White. Jim had asked that we do this from the Pioneers, and Charles and I graciously and of course said yes, we certainly would with that gracious offer, so that we can communicate. And I think, and we hope that this message will reach out to a lot of our retirees. And when those retirees do see this, that are not members of the Pioneers, I hope you'll consider joining. It's just an extraordinary opportunity for not only sharing of information, but sharing a lot of those old stories, which I really look forward to every single September. Here we are in the midst of a global pandemic. And one of the issues that we have found ourselves in that there wasn't a playbook for. We don't really know what to do. And I think you would be really, really proud of members of this agency as we've moved our way through this period of time since now mid-March. He had a notion of what might be coming our way, but we didn't really know what it was all going to mean. But by golly, we do now. So here we are. I had to make some decisions early on to pull our efforts back. Proactive enforcement, pull it back. And we were responding to those events that came our way and that came to every single community in Indiana. But we were very, very thoughtful and careful. My responsibility is to make sure or to do all I can to make sure that our employees are safe. And the only way I could do that was to try to mitigate as much as possible their possibility of exposure. We've done a really nice job with that. We being collectively all of us. We understood that threat early on. We didn't understand what it was, and we all took a step back and slowed down. And because of that, our percentages stayed very, very low of those that were ill. We did have a couple of people on ventilators, but most of them were quarantined or otherwise separated from the workforce for a period of time. A shout out to the HR division within the state police that managed all of that, managed that messaging, managed those exposures and what that might have meant for not only the employee but for the family, and then for the people that work in the same environment. It was really an extraordinary effort, and I'm very, very proud of it. We now have a playbook in the event that one of these comes back to us. Unfortunately, it's still here. I think we're about midway now through this crisis. My boss, Governor Eric Holcomb, has just done, from my view, an extraordinary job. He's been very candid, very forthright, very out front. He acknowledges what he doesn't know, and he certainly talks about what he does. Dr. Chris Box from the State Department of Health, she's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person and a great physician. I think that the response has been very thoughtful. It's been very deliberative, and it's been very clear that if we get to a place that we can't continue on, we're going to pull back and maybe go a different direction. That's where we are right now in Indiana with 4.5. And I think everyone had hoped that we'd be at 5 right now and open, but again, we got to that point in the road where we had to stop and reevaluate. We don't want to become Texas, Florida, Arizona, or California, and have to try to ensure that we don't get there. It's certainly changed everything about society, and it's changed everything about how we interact with each other, from the work environment to the social engagement that we have, to just simply going to a grocery or traveling from point A to point B. Everything is now changed. And sometimes I wish I had a crystal ball. Only a couple of times in my life did I wish I did. Today and right now is one of the times that I wish I had a crystal ball to identify and understand what the future might bring. To all of you, or many of you that are watching this or that will watch this, I can't imagine the perspective that you have. I would have really looked forward to talking about that, how you've interacted with your family, and those of you that are still working, how have you done that? But just to kind of get a gauge of how you're all doing. And unfortunately, we can't do that this year. We will start to get back to work here. Not that we haven't been working, but we'll shift into third gear, if you will, and start re-engaging in a proactive way around Indiana. Again, I couldn't be more proud of the troopers out there that they've been biting at the bit to try and get back into doing what they do. And we're going to very slowly and methodically offer direction on how that might happen, and that's actually occurring as we speak. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. May the 25th of 2020 changed our profession forever with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I've had so many conversations around Indiana and around the nation about this with a few people or in auditoriums of thousands of people. And every time I had the opportunity to do that, I have said that this profession is not without sin. And we own some of this. We absolutely do. But never in my lifetime have I seen such a division as I do right now. And it's kept me awake at night, and it'll continue to keep me awake at night. And I rest on all the work that you all had done before me and before us, because as an agency, we've maintained a pretty even keel with where we are, with what the communities think of us, with their trust in us, and the like. But that's all in question right now. And I just can't get that image out of my mind of what happened to George Floyd on that day. I'm mortified, I'm disgusted, I'm angry, I'm hurt, and all those emotions come to the very front, because all the while that all this is happening, law enforcement officers across this country are dying for people that hate who they are. And the burden is heavy right now. The burden is heavy. I believe that being the optimist and fighting pessimism, but being an optimist means that we'll come out of this better. Our profession will be better. The way we interact with different cultures will be better. That we continue to work towards that trust in our local communities, because if we do it in the local communities, it expands into regions, into counties, into states, into our country and around the world. And maybe one day we'll become better people. I'm still very proud of the uniform that I wear. And I'm very proud to represent thousands and thousands of police officers all over Indiana, some 17,000 of them, in more than 500 police agencies around this state. We must hold ourselves accountable, and we will. And those that don't need not be here. So the burden lies with people like me as a head of an agency, and I feel very, very strongly about that. And if I ever don't do what I know I should, I won't be here anymore. I'll tender my resignation and retirement to the governor of the state, and I carry those responsibilities very, very, very seriously, and it's quite the burden. But we will get through this. And again, that crystal ball would be awful nice right now, but I know that that's not a possibility. The budget. And by the way, I could talk for an hour about the unrest, but I'll hold those thoughts until the day that we can all meet again. The budget shortfalls. Nobody anticipated the COVID pandemics hitting. Indiana was in a really good position, over $2.2 billion in the bank. We were in a really, really good position, and it took the tenure from Governor Daniels to Governor Pence, now to Governor Holcomb, and all that he has done in the last 4 years with growth and bringing economic activity to Indiana and selling Hoosiers to the world, that has caused them to want to come here. And we had a vibrant economy, better than ever before. Unemployment was at the lowest it's been in our history, and so many good things were happening. And then in March, all of that changed. I say that to you because, as you know, nobody could have predicted this. Nobody could have planned for this because we didn't know what was coming. So what that means is we had about a $1.2 billion shortfall in revenue, and we anticipate those shortfalls to continue over the course of the next few months. What that means as we get into budget development is my personal goal is that we maintain what we currently have, understanding that there's not going to be a lot of opportunity for growth, a lot of opportunity for things that we had hoped to be able to accomplish as we continue to ride that stallion of success. But that's just not the reality today. We'll be good stewards. The state budget agency has been very, very interactive with us. And I can tell you that there's no indication that they're going to defund the Indiana State Police. So we will maintain that daily interaction with them, both from Mickey James and as a CFO and all that happens in the fiscal division to Major Sorrells and all that happens in HR, so that I can continue to tell the story of the ISP and what we're doing and why. I'm really proud of where we are. I'm really, really proud of where we are. And I will work tirelessly to maintain this platform that we've established over the course of these last 7.5 years.
Ball out. Move. Moving, sir.
We started the 80th, yes, the 80th recruit school on July the 5th. It was supposed to begin in April, early April, but that was right in the midst of the initial phases of the COVID crisis. And that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of our agency, particularly because we had offered them we'd given them conditional offers, and they had gotten through the final phases of the process, had left previous employments and the like, and now we thought, uh-oh, what do we do? So Major Sorrells came up with a partnership with the training division, and they established very specific criteria for, in essence, a paid internship with 50 people, which is what we started with, and we sent them to the districts, and they got some exposure to be able to see a little bit about what the ISP does. Some of the experiences were unbelievable that they were actually able to see and participate in for that period of time. I had some sleepless nights thinking they were out there in the middle of the night all by themselves with somebody else with no experience, no understanding of what they're about to do, but it worked out fine. Everything worked out just fine. They reported here just a couple of weeks ago. We're now down to 48. We started with 50, we're down to 48. And some changes were made to try and accommodate this group in this very dynamic yet dangerous environment. As an example, we went from 3 to a room out at the academy to 2. And we just automatically, by doing that, we cut our possibility of an infection by 30%. But the opportunity for infection is still there. And in the event that happens, I'm not exactly sure what we'll do, but like everything else, I've got the best staff on the planet Earth, and we'll figure it out. We have not seen, at least as of right now, no early retirements because of what's occurring in our society associated with the view of law enforcement today, but I anticipate them coming. There have been a lot of conversations about what it might look like if a person leaves now versus waiting another 12 months, 14 or 15 months. And I've personally had lots of conversations with our folks and other agencies from the 1 to 5 year mark, and they've asked themselves, what have I done? What have I done? And I think my role is to continue to encourage them that this too shall pass, continue to do the right thing, especially from the state police perspective. I know how you've been trained, and you're very capable of this. You're very capable of making those complicated life and death decisions in the right way. So I would encourage them to continue to do that. The conversations that have been had with people from that have been on more than, let's say, 7 to 15 or 7 to 20 years, they're feeling kind of stuck, quite frankly. They're not really sure what to do. They're at a point where the job market's not good out there, but they're close enough to retirement or moving that way, or they've been here long enough that they shouldn't leave. So again, encouraging them. So as you see these young guys and gals, and even some of the older ones out there, out and about, I hope you'll encourage them. Their commitment is still longstanding, and it's still very, very real, even under this perpetual criticism of everything that we do. And it's a tough time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a tough time, and as tough as anything I've ever seen in my lifetime. But I think you'll be proud of the agency that you served, and we will get through the other end, the other side of this. We just can't predict it yet. We just can't predict it. So, with all of that being said, again, I'm going to miss you in September. I'm not even. I think the retiree luncheon is off the block this year, so we're not going to have a whole lot of opportunity to interact. But what we will do is continue to support you. I hope that you'll not hesitate to reach out. Many of you call me direct, and I love when you do that. So please don't hesitate. If you're struggling with something or you have a question, please let us know. If you have an idea, a recommendation, or suggestion for us, those are welcome too. And again, we'll look forward to seeing you sometime soon. May God bless you all and take good care.